Good morning, everyone. This is John with Gun.Deals. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most prolific optics of all time. Used since the early 90s by US and other militaries around the world, the Trijicon ACOG is still kicking it today. I remember seeing this in video games nearly 20 years before I actually got around to reviewing one. But before we get into that, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below of your favorite ACOG model. Because, like all things Trijicon, they make a million different slight variations of the same thing. The model that we are talking about today is the TA11 3.5x option, specifically the red chevron BDC with their fiber optic illumination. They also make these with 3 different illumination colors, 3 or 4 different reticle options, and LED variations as well. Getting into some basics of the TA11, this is utilizing a forged aluminum body, which is one of the main factors that give the ACOG its legendary durability. The 3.5x model is a little bigger than the 4x model, coming in at 8 inches long with a weight of 17.5 ounces with the stock mount. Objective lens is 35mm, which gives you a huge exit pupil and allows for a lot of light gathering. On top, we have our fiber optic wire that provides good usable illumination at nearly all times. We also have capped and dummy corded windage and elevation turrets that are in half MOA increments. One thing to note is that there is no diopter for adjusting the reticle to your eyes. So for some people, you are just going to be out of luck. It works well enough for me with my young eyes, but again, keep in mind that there is no adjustability. Getting into usability, the stated eye relief is only rated at 2.4 inches, though I think that it's actually substantially better than that, better than what I thought it would be, honestly, considering the 4X's reputation. You can get a usable sight picture all the way back at about 3.5 inches, though you are probably still going to be mounting the ACOG about as far back as you can on your upper receiver. Eye box with the albeit shorter eye relief is good. You get a good amount of left, right, up and down movement before you lose your sight picture. Now, field of view is rated at 29 feet at 100 yards at 3.5x magnification, which is just all right. There are some more modern options out there with a better field of view and similar size and weight, or even better in some cases. So the field of view specifically on the 3.5x model is not exceptional. Getting into the glass quality though, it looks quite good. Very little to complain about. Edge-to-edge clarity is very good. Light transmission is good. The image looks very crisp. The colors are good. It seems to be comparable to other high-end glass that I have tested, only really held back by the shorter eye relief and shallow field of view. I kinda wish there was more image to look at, since again the glass is quite good. Moving on to the reticle, the top half is of course illuminated via our fiber optic wire, and it is truly daylight bright. And even indoors with just decent lighting, it's still bright and punchy and gives you enough contrast to be usable in a wide range of environments. Very nice feature to have, and again, keep in mind this is battery free. Getting into the BDC, at the tip I believe you zero for 50 to 200, which is kind of your standard battle zero. Then the bottom of the chevron should be about 300 yards. Now you can also use the bottom of the chevron for ranging, as I believe it correlates to 19 inches at 300 meters, which is approximately the average human shoulder width, so that can give you an approximation. You can use some math to make that work. Underneath the chevron, you have the rest of the BDC laid out in 100-yard increments all the way out to 800 yards. I believe it is calibrated for 55-62 grain projectiles out of a 14.5-ish inch barrel, though again, there's going to be some play there between your specific barrel and ammo combo. Now, I was using some Frontier 55 grain M193 out of this 14.5 inch LWRC, and it lined up basically perfectly at 500 yards and made my job extremely easy. So while I have no complaints with the BDC itself, I do wish it featured wind holds, as that would make it much more effective in windy environments. Now, where I live in South Dakota, I am a little bit biased towards wind holds, as it can be quite windy here, and especially shooting very light projectiles at say 400, 500, 600 yards, having those wind holes is better than just aiming off into space. I know there are some ACOG versions with an ACSS reticle that has a lot more functionality built into it, and those are always the preferable options in my opinion, though again, you can't get them in all of the magnifications of the ACOG. That being said, I don't know if you can hand something any more complex to a Marine and not have them short circuit, so maybe that's for the best. Now, something I didn't talk about earlier is mounts. The standard twist knob style mount works well enough, but fortunately these are popular enough to have aftermarket mount options available. So you can cut an ounce or two if you go with a lighter mount, or you can get it to whatever height you need for your specific application. Now, another way to get more flexibility out of the ACOG is to have a top-mounted RMR or equivalent red dot. That will give you a total package under 20 ounces, and you will be equipped for just about any scenario. Not necessarily the ideal package, but you can make it work again in a wide variety of circumstances. So putting all of that info back into a more condensed package, at the end of the day, you're getting a usable optic with enough magnification to be effective at medium range. The glass is good, the reticle is simple, and all of that is wrapped in a very tough forged housing. Now, when it comes to cost and value, these are just on the other side of $1,000, which is a lot for an optic that has been in development for 30 years. You would have thought at some point costs would have come down, but that's not really how Trijicon or military-styled optics tend to work. I think if you put a premium on durability and glass quality, these are still really hard to beat. But if you want better reticles, and in some cases better usability as well, there are more modern options from Primary Arms, Vector, and SwapFox that can do that. For me, on a tighter budget, I would always lean towards the Primary Arms or similar optics, but if price doesn't matter, maybe try and track down an ACOG with the ACSS reticle, and that's kind of the best of both worlds. But that's about all that I have for this video, guys. Let me know what you think of the Trijicon TA11 3.5x prism optic. Let me know if this is the best or worst combat optic of all time. I know that this gets a lot of praise, and a lot of that is well deserved. But again, with all that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace off.